6 years ago, the Dodgers stopped hoping and started owning baseball in great part thanks to Mook.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Shohei Ruiz. That's Travis Rodgers, and it's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, Shohei Ohtani somehow found time between MVPs and championships to become a children's book author. Blake Snell is taking it slow right now, and that's exactly what this team wants. But first, the move that changed everything 6 years ago. Travis, the Mookie Betts trade and why it completely altered how the Dodgers operate.
Yeah, even in the moment, it's like they got Mookie Betts. What? Huh? It was it changed a whole bunch of stuff, and all of it for the better. Can't wait to get into it.
Travis, he's your weekday afternoon soundtrack on 710 ESPN LA, riding from 3 to 6 with the Travis and DeMarco Show. And if you're not in SoCal or you're nowhere near a radio, the ESPN LA app makes sure that you're locked in. As for me, when I'm not calling USC football or Raiders games in Espanol, this is my home base, talking Dodgers, breaking things down, and doing it with you. If this is your first time checking out the show, welcome. You didn't stumble by accident. And if you're an everydayer, you already know this podcast runs because of you. Are you watching on YouTube? Make sure to hit that like button, jump into the comments, and subscribe so you're here every day. Listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your pods, a quick 5-star rating helps more Dodgers fans find the show. And remember, the Locked On Dodgers listener line is always open via voicemail or text 2793-LOCKED or 279-356-2533. Call in anytime tomorrow. We're going to go to some texts and voicemails that we already have lined up. If you want to join the party, hit us up right now. The trade that changed the Dodgers forever. Yesterday, February 4th, marked 6 years since the baseball world stopped for a moment at 6:10 p.m. when news broke by Jeff Passan that the Dodgers had agreed to acquire Mookie Betts. It took them a couple of days. It took them almost a week on February 9th to finally lock it down, to make it a guarantee. And Brusdar Graterol, his medicals, some way got involved right there, and he ended up landing with the Dodgers, and I still feel that became an even better move. Mookie Betts, you had Price, you had Graterol. At the time, it felt massive, Travis. Looking back now, it just felt inevitable because it was the move that the Dodgers had made other moves before. It never got them over the hump. Mookie Betts, he arrives in Dodger blue, and it changes everything. 3 World Series in 6 years.
Yeah, you just don't get an MVP in the prime of his career from another team that has deep pockets. It just still does not make a whole bunch of sense that somebody inside the Boston Red Sox organization said, let's trade Mookie. We don't want to pay him. Like, huh? You don't want to pay him? If you're not going to pay him, who are you going to pay? And the Dodgers went, we'll take him. And we'll take whatever else you want to throw in to make it go. We're in. You don't get an opportunity. Maybe in free agency you get a chance to do that, but usually by the time they get to free agency, they're in the late part of their prime. That's not what Mookie was. He was at the beginning of a Hall of Fame career, or at least the very early stages of his prime. And look, I remember saying this on my radio show at the time. I knew Mookie Betts was a great player. I remember seeing Mookie Betts beat the Dodgers in the World Series in 2018. And I remember, you'd see him play occasionally, like, wow, he's a nice player. I had no blanking idea how good he was. The way you realize how good he was by getting to watch him every single day and every single night and watch him play right field. And of course, he's a right fielder when he came over. Watch him take his at-bat night after night after night. Watch the way that he prepares and all those things. And Mookie Betts was the rare guy who I thought was really good. He's an MVP, right? It's not breaking news, but was so much better than I actually anticipated. And after about halfway through that first season, I'm like, oh my God, they got a guy that's going to go to the Hall of Fame wearing a Dodger uniform, because this is just extraordinarily gifted athlete.
No doubt about it. You remember those days when you had Zach Greinke signed for over $100 million. Clayton Kershaw, when he signed his first extension with the Dodgers and hit up big numbers, and it was like, wow. The Dodgers traded for Mookie Betts and ended up giving him one of the largest contracts ever given in baseball. The largest for the Dodgers, 12 years, $365 million. And that's something where it's like he didn't want to leave the Boston Red Sox, but he wasn't going to give anybody a hometown discount or any type of discount. And the Dodgers, like you said in yesterday's show, our everydayers will know it. It's like, hey, they won't make a move unless they have a commitment that they will have that player locked in for a long-term deal. And that's what they did with Mookie Betts. And they had tried before. You look at the Manny Machado trade, and they had tried after Mookie Betts with going for Trey Turner and Max Scherzer with the Nationals. And none of those moves ended up being the difference maker like Mookie Betts was with the boys in blue. You look at that 2020 season, yes, I understand it was a shortened season. It was a pandemic shortened season, but his hands were all over the place defensively and with the bat and leadership. That's something huge as well, because when Freddie Freeman got traded to the Dodgers, that man had been with Atlanta for all of his career. That was all he knew, and we saw how much it meant for him when he went back to Atlanta to be a part of the Braves. He didn't have a lot of people to connect with, and Mookie Betts immediately went to him, hey, man, I'm here. I was in your shoes. If you need anything, or your spikes, if you need anything, I'm here. He is that leader that Dodgers clubhouse needed, and look at that right now. It's crazy to say, Travis. He has been with the Dodgers the same amount of time that he was with the Boston Red Sox. Yeah. 6 years with Boston, 6 years with the Dodgers.
No, and it's going to be where he's in the Dodger uniform far longer than he's anywhere else. And I think that, this is going to go down as one of the greatest trades that the Dodgers have ever made. I don't know if it ever erases it, but it's certainly, it's the flip side of the Pedro Martinez deal that the Dodgers were on many, many years ago, where they let Pedro go to go get the line on DeShields along the way. It's like, oh my gosh, they had Pedro Martinez in the building. Mookie is a Hall of Famer. Mookie is one of the great players of his generation. And I think that the only part about this that's a little bit, I don't want to say concerning, that's too strong of a word, but it's interesting to me moving forward is what happened last year. And I think there are a lot of explanations for it. I just don't know which one it actually is. Could it just be as simple as the transition from the outfield to the infield was taking a toll on his bat, and that now that transition has been completed, he'll go right back to where he was? Could be. Could it be that he got that weird illness at the beginning of the season where he lost all that weight and his offense never really came back, and now that that's in the rearview mirror, that's gone away? Could it just be that he had a bad year? Sometimes that happens where you just don't swing the bat particularly well. And, it's a bad year and you just chalk it up and you come back and you're back to yourself. That could be it. All of those are actually probably pretty hopeful propositions. If that's what it is, you just go, okay, that stuff happens, right? The part that gets a little interesting to me is, what if this is the beginning of a decline? That what if this is just because, again, Mookie Betts is not a big man. He's not Freddie Freeman. He's not Shohei Ohtani, these big, strong guys that, have these incredible bodies. Mookie is an incredible athlete, but he's a smaller guy. And as he ages, is he going to age in a way that takes the Mookie Betts-ness out of him? What makes him so good is not just that he could go from right field to second base to shortstop and go all over the place, but he was an elite offensive player. If he is just a regular offensive player at the price that he commands, that's less interesting, right? So if this is the beginning of him coming over the hill, and that decline was pretty steep last year, if that's the new normal, it gets really interesting really quick. I don't think it is. I'm not saying that that's what it is, but if that's what it is, that gets pretty interesting because they still have a lot of time left with him. Now, if it's just a blip on the radar, no big deal. He goes back to being Mookie Betts and everybody's happy. But if this was the first year, if we look at his baseball reference page, 10 years from now, and 2025 was the year you're like, ooh, right there. That's where it started to happen for him offensively. Then maybe we're having a different discussion 5 years from now.
And it's 100% fair to say that it wasn't a good year, especially in Mookie standards. Yeah. But we also have to look at, man, he became a finalist for the Gold Glove at shortstop. He has reinvented himself over the 6 years he was with the Dodgers, because without his defense at right field, the Dodgers don't win that 2020 World Series. They don't make it deep in that postseason run. And then he makes the shift to second base, and then he makes the shift to shortstop. He just keeps reinventing himself and makes things differently. I 100% agree. For him to keep his value as high as it has been with the Dodgers, he needs to have a way better season with the bat. And man, the good thing is he was protected before. Now he's even more protected, having Kyle Tucker thrown into that lineup.
Yeah, I don't think it was a matter of him not getting pitches to hit. He just didn't hit. Look, here's the thing. If the transition to, and I totally agree with what you're saying, that him going from a legendarily good outfielder, a multi-time Gold Glove outfielder, to somebody that's just in the mix for a Gold Glove at shortstop, that's crazy. However, having a all-glove shortstop that doesn't hit, who cares? Right? What makes him Mookie Betts is the ability to play offense, is the ability to swing the bat the way that he does. That what makes him a $30+ million player is his ability to hit like crazy and provide elite defense. I don't want to say a lot of guys, but there are guys that can play defense at a major league level really, really well and don't hit. Mookie's not one of them. Mookie is Mookie because he brings both elements. Last year, he really didn't. I'm excited to see it. Like I said, I don't think this was the beginning of a decline. I think it was just a bad season. But if he doesn't hit the way that we expect Mookie Betts to hit, no matter how good he plays shortstop, it's like, yeah, okay, he's not hitting. What do you do with that?
And also going back to the money situation, you look at the names that the Dodgers had given 9-figure deals to before Mookie Betts. You're talking about a guy like Kevin Brown, 7 years, $105 million. Zach Greinke, 6 years, $147 million. You go over and have, yes, Matt Kemp had a 9-figure deal, 8 years, $160 million. You had the Kershaw deal, 7 years, $215 million. But when you gave Mookie Betts 12 years, $365, that unleashed a beast where it was like, okay, they end up getting Freddie Freeman, 6 years, $162. You go over even the Trevor Bauer deal. They gave him 3 years, $103 million. But when it came over to getting Shohei Ohtani, that they weren't afraid of having that deal. They weren't afraid of giving Yoshinobu Yamamoto that deal. They weren't afraid of giving Kyle Tucker the deal that they gave, and it all opened the doors to giving that type of money once you brought in Mookie Betts and being like, hey, man, look, we just won a World Series. Look at all this. We already had a lot of fans in the stands. The numbers even grew more. Look at our merch sales. Look at everything going on in this stadium if we win. And Mookie Betts, that trade got the Dodgers over the hump in 2020 and then just kept them contending ever since. So the Mookie trade, it worked in every way that matters for the boys in blue. And 6 years later, the Dodgers, they are still building off the foundation that deal created. Next on Locked On Dodgers, winning the World Series is the goal. How much should the early months of the season really matter? We already know Travis's answer on that, because Blake Snell is taking his time right now, and the Dodgers couldn't be happier about it. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a local, trusted expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Dodgers with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Why the Dodgers are willing to wait on Blake Snell. Winning The final game of the season came with a price. Extra innings, extra starts, extra stress on arms, guys going on very, very short rest or no rest at all in the case of Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And the Dodgers, more than any team in baseball, understand that the goal isn't to win opening day. That's a luxury you get when you have a team or rotation as deep as the Dodgers do. The goal is to be standing at the end. That's why Blake Snell's slow ramp up right now isn't a red flag at all. It's a strategy. Travis, how long did he last year right after taking care of business in the U.S. opening day for the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium? Very little.
Yeah, I think he pitched something like 8 or 9 innings in his first 2 starts, and then we didn't see him for several months after that. And get ready, because you might see it again, right? And look, I like the phrase that you use. If this were a typical team losing a player like Blake Snell, if we're sitting here in the early part of February and he's saying my arm is just not bounced back from last year, I need more time, I need to slow play my progression and all that, it would be a that's our guy. That is our workhorse. That's the guy that's going to match up our number one off against number one. And if without him, we are in deep, deep trouble. Dodgers can go, okay, yeah, all right, take as much time as you need. Let us know when you're ready. It is an incredible luxury that only they have. And one of my favorite baseball sayings is these things tend to take care of themselves. Like we got 2 right fielders. What are we going to do? These things tend to take care of themselves. Usually that's a bad thing because it usually means somebody's getting hurt and now you're shorthanded. But this is one of those rare times where this stuff will take care of itself because we're just going to let it take care of itself. Any little nagging injury, any sort of thing that just needs a little bit of TLC, yeah, go take all the time you need. That when we need to push you, we're going to, but we're not going to push you in March and April and May and June and July and August and probably not even September. That we're not going to push you until we get to October. And it's about as a luxurious problem as you could possibly have. And look, I hope he's healthy. I hope he makes, as many starts as he possibly can, but they don't need Blake Snell to make 35 starts. They need Blake Snell to make 5 starts in October. And that's what they need to get him ready for.
Yeah, and he dealt with that shoulder inflammation last season that sidelined him for months. And instead of rushing back into a throwing program this winter, he's doing the opposite. He's being patient. Yes, he does want to be there for opening day, but he's being deliberate. The franchise is being smart. And honestly, that's the most Dodgers 2026 thing imaginable, because you look at load management in the NBA and it's a completely different monster. They play half of the amount of games that players play in baseball, where you have one game every 3 nights, or if you have a back-to-back, it's like, oh my God, in the NBA, you're freaking out. In baseball, it's like, man, that's 6 games a week. That's every day. Yeah. And the Dodgers, look, they have this rotation that is pretty decent. Wink of the eye. Wink of the eye for those that are just listening. Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Ohtani, Sheehan, Sasaki, and then you have the young guns behind these guys ready to go in whenever they're needed. It's different than, I'll share the example. When I was a season ticket holder for the Dodgers and I lived in El Paso, Texas, I would travel to watch games at Dodger Stadium. I was like, please let me get to watch Clayton Kershaw, because that rotation, and no disrespect to the guys that ain't Kershaw, that man is the GOAT. That man is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But it was Clayton Kershaw, Chad Billingsley, Chris Capuano, Aaron Harang, and Ted Lilly. So you lost Clayton Kershaw in that rotation. It was a little bit like, oh, man, all right, Billingsley, please carry this team and do a great job. Every now and then you had like Aaron Harang strike out 9 in a row, and it was like, oh my God, that was a great way to start a game. And then it came a little bit downhill. You couldn't trust those guys the same way that you can trust, for example, Tyler Glasnow, that yes, injuries have hurt him, but when he's available, he's a stud. Same thing, Ohtani, he ramped up last season and ended up being a monster for the Dodgers in the mound. And you can say the same thing about an Emmett Sheehan, who put this team on his back whenever you had the absences of Glasnow and of Blake Snell, and Ohtani wasn't available to pitch. So that right there for the Dodgers in 2026 isn't a rotation. That's an insurance policy. And behind them, there's depth for days also, Travis. So if he wants to take his time, if the Dodgers want him to chill, relax, and be ready later in the season, go ahead. I got no issue at all.
They all will. I bet you a nickel that every single one of the Dodger pitchers takes some time away from pitching. And the way I phrase it like that is because I don't think Ohtani, unless something, knocking on wood now, unless Ohtani gets really hurt, I don't think he's going to miss more than a game or two as the DH. He plays every day. He posts every day. It's one of the great things. We don't talk about him enough. He plays every darn day. So I think that will happen barring something else. But I think there'll be a time where they shut him down from pitching. I think Yamamoto will take some time. He pitched all of last year. He's going to pitch in the WBC. He's going to need some decompression time. And if that comes in the middle of the season, that's fine. Sasaki is still developing. Glasnow always gets hurt. Snell already is kind of slow playing some of this stuff. Sheehan won't get the innings that he needs because there's too much traffic on the road in front of him until there isn't, and he'll come in. Robleski, Ryan, Stone, all of these guys that are still here, they've got 2 full starting pitching staffs. There aren't 10 spots in the rotation. There are 5. You could argue maybe it's 6 with Ohtani and Yamamoto, but there's more than enough to go around. So there will be times where I think every single one of those guys is missing time. Maybe, hopefully it's nothing serious, but it's probably just, you know what? I got a little something here or there that I'd like to settle down. Go do it. They have the luxury of being able to do that where no one else really does.
You mentioned a lot of guys already, and then still add Ben Kasparius, Kyle Hurd, and it's like, man, the embarrassment of riches. That is a phrase that we say multiple times a week here at Locked On Dodgers, and we're not complaining about it, man. We're just saying, hey, it's good that the Dodgers can have a team as deep as that. And look, all these other guys that we brought up, Stone, Ryan, Robleski, Kasparius, Hurt, those are homegrown guys, or that guys that have grown in the Dodger system. And it's like they have developed them to be ready for this moment. Kasparius, they brought him in as a starter. He was a rotation piece. You look over at other guys and it's like, hey, they got a bunch of innings in, but because they needed so, and now they're better for it. The Dodgers, they don't rush anyone. They don't cut any corners. They will wait, and it paid off in October last year. Let's see what happens this season, because I remember we were like, hey, Snell gonna be ready for September, October, because it's getting late in the season, and the Dodgers gave him a big bag to come and play in Los Angeles. And then he did come back, and it's like, hopefully we don't lose him, and without him, the Dodgers don't win the World Series.
No, that's for sure. He was ready to go when it was time to go. They all were. That's what's so, other than the bullpen that kind of faltered at the end, but they were able to kind of navigate their way through it. When it was time to go, they were all ready to go. And I think that's going to be the same plan this year. That, like you said, they're going to win about 2/3 of their games no matter what, just because of the way that they can swing the bats, just because of the arms that they are going to throw out there. But when it's time to keep in mind, I say this all the time, they went 13-4 in the playoffs last year. 13-4 against the best teams in baseball.
Without home field advantage, all but the wild card round.
That window was the one window all year where they're like, we're going for it. We're throwing our best guys. You're going to get nothing but our best guys. They went 13-4. There's no reason to think that when they throw their best guys again, that something similar couldn't happen.
Yeah, the Dodgers, they don't need Blake Snell at 100% in late March, early April. They need him at 100% when the lights are brightest. All right, coming up on Locked On Dodgers, just when you think Shohei Ohtani has done everything, MVPs, championships, global superstardom, he adds a children's book author to the resume.
Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move, because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and location, right? So if you're thinking about hiring, you don't just want someone who can help. You'd want someone with real experience who can jump right in. That's what's so great about Indeed. You get specific and you can target exactly what it is you're looking for. It saves time because you're spending less time sorting through the people that don't match all that well. With sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In a minute, that I've been talking, right? Companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you are hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show, you're going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed.
Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rodgers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Shohei Ohtani, storyteller. Show changed what's possible on a baseball field. Now he's trying to do something just as powerful: connect with kids. Ohtani has released his first children's book, Decoy Saves Opening Day, inspired by his beloved dog, Decoy, who has become very popular among Dodgers fans. The story follows Decoy as he prepares for the ceremonial first pitch, only to realize that he forgot his lucky baseball. Travis, this right here isn't just a fun side project, but the cool part is every dollar raised from the book is going to animal rescue organizations. That's classic Ohtani, he doesn't just be like money, money, money. He tries to make the world better right there. And Decoy, if they sold shirts with a Decoy face on it, I'm pretty sure they would sell out at Dodger Stadium.
Oh, book it for sure. I mean, this book will sell like crazy because it's got Shohei Ohtani's name on it, because it has Decoy on it. I mean, that, like you said, they, name another player's dog that we're intimately familiar with the way that we are with Decoy. I'm always fascinated with guys like Ohtani that have the ability to do something so different from what they already do at such a high level. Like, I get that Shohei Ohtani was gifted with this incredible athletic ability that, we really have maybe never seen before, to hit and pitch the way that he has, and just watching him run. And if you told me that Shohei Ohtani was going to play in the NBA, I'd probably believe you. He's just one of those athletes that could probably, if you told me he was a scratch golfer or an ace tennis player, I'd believe you on almost anything you told me, because he's an athlete like that. But when you get a guy that's an athlete like that and has creativity like he does, and has the artistic expression that he does, and has the ability to do something that's so radically different than athletics and succeed in it like that, I'm incredibly impressed by the ability to do something in a different genre and do it as well as he obviously can.
Travis, if you told me that Shohei Ohtani was an astronaut, I would believe you. I mean, not just an athlete, anything that he puts his mind to, this man can do. And he just became a father last year to a baby girl. He got married out of nowhere, out of left field, to everybody. It was like, wait, what happened? He became a father. And now it's like, he was a dog dad, and now he's a girl dad. He's a dog dad. He's a husband. Life came at him fast. And when a guy could just relax and say, hey, I got $680+ million coming deferred payments, and once my contract is done with the Dodgers, and I'm raking in a ridiculous amount of money with sponsorships, this guy could relax. He could take it easy. But this is what his time off looks like. Being like, hey, let's get a kid's book out there. Let's make something cool, because the reality is he already connects with that young audience that look at him and they're going to grow up and say, Shohei Ohtani. I'm going to tell a quick story. 2024, the Dodgers win the World Series. Once again, I live in Las Vegas. I found a picture of the Sphere out here in Las Vegas, which is like a massive sphere out in the Strip that's lit up all day long, and that they had a Dodgers ball on it when the night that they beat the Yankees in Game 5. My wife and I, we go out there and we camp for like nearly an hour waiting for the damn Dodger ball to pop up. It finally did, and I had my Ohtani jersey. It was cold. I took my jacket off, and I'm like, yeah, let's go Dodgers. It just happened to be that a Japanese lady was walking on the street. She saw the Dodgers jersey. She's like, oh, Dodgers. And then she saw Ohtani in the back, and she went nuts. She's like, Ohtani. It's just like, it's a guy that transcends the sport. And doing this, it's like, hey, you already had a cool connection with the kids that look up to you as a player. it's even better getting him out there with the children's book.
Yeah, it's funny. My oldest son said something that always kind of resonated with me about Ohtani, and it's spot on. It kind of goes to what you were talking about, where if you found out he was an astronaut, you'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Shohei Ohtani looks like Superman if Superman were Japanese. Like he literally looks like Superman. He's got the long flowing hair. He's handsome. He's tall. He's got broad shoulders. He's got narrow leg. So that Shohei Ohtani is Japanese Superman. Yeah, like there's nothing that this guy can do. If you told he's an author, great. Astronaut, great. Athlete, great. Whatever it is, there's nothing on this planet that would surprise me when it comes to Ohtani. He is once in a lifetime for sure.
Hey, next thing up on the scorecard right there, I feel MVP Cy Young the same season. Let's see if it happens for him. Yeah. All right, that'll do it for today's pod. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Tomorrow, are there seriously 6 starting pitchers other than Yoshinobu Yamamoto that are better than him? That's what MLB Network thinks, and we'll look over this topic that has Dodgers fans pissed off on social media. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Dodgers at free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen our buddies over at Locked On MLB. Travis, fun as always, brother.
Always, always, always. One day closer to the start of spring training. Let's go.
Let's go. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.